Let's ask Hogan Gidley about that. He's vice chair for election integrity at AFPI and former Trump White House deputy press secretary. What do you think? No cover up here, Hogan?
It's the biggest cover up. It's the biggest political scandal in American history. Who was president for the last 4 years? And now we know. White House staff covered this up. The media obviously covered this up as well. And the American people were left without a commander in chief. It is absolutely disgusting that the media did this too, pretending as though what every single American saw with their own eyes every day. Someone who couldn't speak, someone who couldn't talk, someone who couldn't walk. They couldn't do the simple tasks that any person should be able to do if they are the commander in chief in the United States of America. And it was so egregious, so bad, but it wasn't by accident. This was by design. And they all did it because they hated Donald Trump so much, and they were terrified of Donald Trump coming in to office again and putting the American people first. The media refused to do the simplest things. What they ought to be doing is expressing some level of curiosity to ask questions. They wouldn't do it. And it was dangerous because the world saw what we all saw, and everyone covered it up, and we have to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that President Trump was at West Point today. I covered his appearance at West Point, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago when he was, in his Trump 43 term. As he left the stage, there was a little bobble or a trip or something, and that made headlines all over the world. News media were proclaiming that he was stumbling and out of shape and all kinds of things. But that kind of thing seldom, if ever, happened during the 4 years of the Biden administration.
I'm so glad you brought that instance up. It was raining. He's wearing dress shoes. He's going down a ramp, and he was taking cautious steps down a ramp because the thing was slick. And the media had a field day with it. They had on orthopedic surgeons and all type of mental experts to try and say, without talking to Donald Trump, of course, without examining him, they're saying he's suffering from all these physical ailments and these mental instability things. This is what they did to Donald Trump. But when Joe Biden was clearly in a steep physical and mental decline, they do what they always do for Democrats. They covered it up, they carried his water, and they tried to pretend as though there was nothing to see here. And there is nothing more offensive as a voter when you're experiencing something, a bad economy, an open border, whatever it may be, for the press to come in and say, oh, no, you're not experiencing that. Let me tell you what's real out there. Same thing applies here. We all saw this, and they tried to tell us it wasn't happening. It's a complete failure by the mainstream media, and I hope Republicans in Congress take a very hard look at this and ask those tough questions, because the American people deserve to know who's been running the country for the last 4 years, because it clearly wasn't Joe Biden.
Well, you think of what could have happened. I mean, there's an officer who follows the president around with the football, the briefcase that has the nuclear codes. And let's say there had been some, disastrous launch picked up at Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, and somebody has to order a counterstrike. Who would be responsible for that, Hogan?
These are the scenarios that paint a very bleak picture, a dark picture of a White House that was in complete and total disarray with no one leading. That's the problem with what we're finding out now on the back end of this, is when you begin to see all the things that happen. And listen, I work for Donald Trump. He never stops. Hours-long speeches every single day, engagements with the media. You got to hear everything he was doing in real time. The guy never sleeps. He's focused on the American people. Joe Biden had just a handful of events, if any, during an entire week. So what would happen if there was a big nuclear threat, as you point out, a big assassination attempt, global conflict? All of these things, he wasn't equipped to handle them. And he sat on the beach every once in a while and just went to sleep. He couldn't handle his chair. He couldn't handle a stage. He couldn't handle a microphone, a teleprompter. He had the questions beforehand. He knew the answers beforehand. Everything was scripted. He couldn't get through any of it. And the problem is, when you are president and you face these global challenges, these domestic issues, you have to be ready and be on all of the time. Donald Trump is, Joe Biden isn't. He wasn't, and now we have to know how that happened.
Yeah, a lot of his supporters are saying it's old news. Let's forget about it. We'll see what Republicans decide to do. Hogan Gidley, good to talk to you. Thanks.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.